Y'all gotta pardon me tonight. I feel like
Hey, and welcome to iHeart Intellectual Radio, the Chronicles of Ron. I am your host, Alan J. Campbell, aka the Batman. All right, y'all. There's been a lot that has gone on this week. A lot that has gone on. First things first. Let's get to talk. What's most disturbing about this situation with Jussie Smollett is that I've had the honor and the privilege of working with him. Okay? The honor and privilege of working with him. That's the most disturbing thing for me. And to come out and find out that this nigga lied, or should I say, let me be more specific. Everything happens now that is alleged. Okay, he's alleged to have committed this crime against himself. Okay, right now Jussie Smollett was arrested. He was charged and arrested this past Friday, and charged with disorderly conduct by filing a false police report, which is a class 4 felony, which he could get anywhere between 1 to 3 years in prison. Okay. Now, the story starts to unravel where he was unhappy with his salary on the show Empire that is filmed here in Chicago. Now, according to last reports, that Jussie was making somewhere in the area of $21,000 to $22,000 per episode. Okay, for most people, $20,000 to $22,000, that's what they make in a year. And they're struggling to even make that. So you created this hoax to draw attention to yourself to get an increase in salary. Not only that, but now the information has come back that you are the very same person who created the threat letter against yourself. Now this information has come back. This has come back. What I'm going to get into tonight is levels of ownership of the straight BS that we tend to put ourselves in, that we tend to perpetrate, the arena that we continue to operate in. Lack of ownership. Now, right now, Jussie went back. So when he was arrested, he was in custody for a few hours. He had a bond of $250,000, I think it was $250,000. Which you only had to pay 10%, which is what? $20,000, which is equivalent to his rate of pay on Empire. So he he went before a judge and, and he was released. Went right back to work. Now, the understanding is that he went back to work. So now what's going to happen is that Jussie has been released from his contract and he's been released from the show. So Jussie Smollett will no longer be part of Empire. You won't see him in the last 2 episodes of the show. Ultimately, he's been fired because everything that transpired was put together by once again, this is what happens when you have the infemination of our black men who are wearing their feelings on their shoulders like women. Now, here's the other twist, and I want you all to listen very, very carefully. Here's the other twist to this story. The Cook County State's Attorney, Kim Foxx, who is the chief legal officer in the county of Cook, recused herself. And for those who are a little slow or ride the yellow school bus, who do not understand what that legal term means, it's basically she removed herself from any and all aspects of the case. Now, her predecessor, Anita Alvarez, was a little puzzled, as most of us were a little puzzled on why you would recuse yourself. Now, I understand. I know why she would recuse herself, because there is obviously some connection between her and Smollett. To give you a better idea, it's basically you have 2 friends and you don't want to say nothing bad against them or about them in front of others, so you just completely stay neutral. That's really what it boils down to. So this is the twist to this. So a lot of people are a little wondering about that. This is why She recused herself, and I don't give a damn what anybody say. They if they tell you anything different, they're a liar. She recused, and this is also the thing that you have to know. I'm not making this up. This is information that I found that is out there. All you have to do, people, all you have to do, black people, is look this information up. Look this up. And in fact, I'm going to read it to you on the real reason why. This is the back door of it. Okay. Um, her real reasoning for, and I really wish I really wish I could pull this up on a big screen so you all could see this for yourself. But look this up. Um, the reason Kim Fox had to recuse her because why? Her, Jesse Smollett, and a senator, her name is Kamala Harris, who is running for president, are all in a picture together, part of a group, an organization that's called Time's Up. That's it. Time's Up. Now I'm gonna read to you the little caption that's in here. Jesse Smollett and presidential candidate Kamala Harris, Democrat from California, were photographed protesting at a Time's Up rally in California. Going further down, Cook County State's Attorney Kim Fox recused herself from the investigation into Smollett's alleged hate crime this week. This recusal raised questions among the local media outlet as well as her predecessor, Nita Alvarez. Another point into that, going into reading Kim Fox's tweet, for reading it from her Instagram account. You can't be this freaking stupid. Kim Kim Fox's tweet. I'm so excited that Kamala Harris has decided to run for president. I would not be where I am today without her guidance during my first run for political office, and she has continued to mentor me as I work to reform the criminal justice system. Now, Kamala Harris is the state's attorney, is the state's attorney in California. Now, all of them are together. See, the whole idea is that you remove yourself from a situation because let her spokesperson say she doesn't want this to appear that there's a level of impropriety or partiality. Well, here's the thing. Real politicians, real people, whether they're friends or foes, they're going to do their job. If your friend is out there messing up, you do what you need to do. You don't step away from, hey, you made a mistake. You need to own up to it. Jesse Smollett needs to own up to this situation if he did this. Okay. But now on the flip side, now I'm gonna get to the flip side on Kim Fox later in the show, which is absolutely deplorable. The thing that we continue to not do is take ownership for various things that we do in our lives. Things that we do. We will not take ownership. And that is a huge, huge problem in the black community. Not the African American community, but the black community. It is a huge problem. Jesse Smollett perpetrated this crime. And the killing part is that he used the very same tactics that white America has been using since the dawn, since we were brought here. Accusations of racial attacks. And not to get too far into the show, I'm letting you all know that the phone lines are open early. They're open super duper early. Give me a call here at the station at 708-223-8953. That's 708-223-8953 to join in or to make a comment or to express your comment in what we're talking about. We're talking about ownership. We're talking about levels of ownership in our lives, in our homes, in our relationships, in our businesses. As a human being, levels of ownership. Once the information started to unravel about Smollett, and like I say, and yes, it is, and yes, I have a little bit of a little bit of bitterness in my mouth because I worked with this man, and just his persona and him to do something like this is completely is different as night and day. That's the part that's disturbing. But we have to understand people are people. But at the same time, when you have people of that circulate or operate in the alternate universe, their thought process is not where it should be. This is, and if you stop for a minute and look at individuals, and then this is not gay bashing or anything, but look at it for what it really is. Most individuals who are gay or homosexual, they want to live a lifestyle that is exuberant, or should I say, they want their lifestyle to exceed their income. So they'll say and do whatever they have to do to achieve that. And here it is what Jussie has done. Okay, we all know that Jussie Smollett is, he's a gay actor. He's gay. He's openly gay, and not only that, he plays a gay individual on the show. When I work the show, I don't look at his sexual orientation or his preference. I look at the man as the actor. But at the same time, this is a person who not only directed, produced, financed, and starred in his own attack. This is what they call a one man show, and it flopped. Seriously, the two brothers who are of Nigerian descent, when they got caught up, they told everything. No, hey, this is what he did. This is what he said, and not only that, but check this out too. ABC has obtained a copy of the check. Dude, don't be stupid. If you're going to commit a crime, don't pay with a check. They have the check with his signature, his name, and for the amount of $3,500. $3,500. And in the note, and if anyone who's still writing checks, for crying out loud, I mean, who writes checks? I mean, come on, I don't write checks. I mean, my producer, I know she don't write checks anymore. I mean, who does that? I mean, really, who does that? Hey, welcome to the show. iHeart Intellectual Radio, the Chronicles of Rohn. Who do I have on the phone, and where are you calling from?
All right, this is Jay from Georgia.
Okay, we got Georgia in the house, so let me tell you all right now. Sit back, strap it on, and hunker down. Put your seats in the upright position and your tray in the seat back in front of you, because this is going to be a ride.
So I think you were getting into the whole Jussie Smollett thing and how they found the check, and then they have the confession from the two brothers who participated into this and all of that stuff. And your theming was accountability.
Ownership and accountability.
Yeah, ownership and accountability. But a more simplified term is really stewardship. Understanding what you have and properly managing those things. Managing those things that you have.
Correct. When we go ahead.
So we have to manage those resources that we have. So there's a difference, and that really comes from maturity. The short answer is, and it's a twofold thing. The issue with Jussie is so far out of control that ultimately he has to go. He has to go to jail, or he has to pay some level of consequence, because great lengths were extended to him because of all of the whistles that he blew. He blew every whistle to gain every level of privilege, attention, if I could say that.
Oh, no, absolutely.
He blew every whistle to get as much privilege attention as he possibly could. He played the gay card, he played the black card, he played the male card, every whistle, He would be the Pied Piper of the boy who cried wolf, literally. And I think that it is beyond atrocious because, first of all, people have been killed for lesser crimes, for lesser accusations. And I hate to say it, but once again, as a conglomeration of people, we have a very short memory, and I believe that it is part of the enslavement of religion that has consistently chastised our conscience, that we have to somehow sanitize our conscience and not remember the atrocities that are afforded against us.
Let me throw this. Let me if I may, let me throw this in there. Now, Eddie Johnson said something. Eddie Johnson is the superintendent of police here, and Eddie Johnson had a very good point on what he said. Is that, and he was really outraged, as well as any of us should be on this this foolishness that this guy pulled. Eddie Johnson stated, and I'm pulling this up now. He says it's appalling to me that a black man would create such a stunt in the climate that we're in, based on everything that is going on, and absorb the resources that could have been used for better purpose. Now I'm paraphrasing that now, but he was outraged. But at the same time, why aren't other people outraged at the same instance as they are about Robert Kelly? And we'll get into that later on. And and we see the two here. Why aren't people just as outraged as this guy? Not only created the environment that basically what he did was played the race card and said that played that said that two white men, and basically he was implying, he never said, he implied that two white men attacked him, put a noose around his neck.
The entire implication, this was very calculated, this was very cruel, and this was very, very manipulative, because the entire incident was narrated to give you every implication that this was of someone who had white supremacist characteristics.
Right, and at the same time, right, and now
let's be very, very clear here. Every bit of his testimony that he initially reported, which said, and I quote, "There was a noose hung around my neck, bleach was poured on me,
right,
I was beaten, and my person was injured. My body, whatever the case was injured by someone who was yelling,
make America, make America great again.
You faggot," or whatever the case was. All of those were indicative, shall we say, catchphrases that would give you the impression that this was someone possibly of either white or Hispanic heritage. And I say Hispanic because, believe it or not, those can be some of the most racist people you've ever encountered.
You bet.
More racist than a white supremacist.
You better say that again.
See, you think Paco is always your friend. If it came down between you and Paco, guess who's gonna turn you in? But to further get into the point is, he played a very dangerous game, and I believe that Eddie Johnson was absolutely correct. And I also believe that the state's attorney's office should also be charged with maybe negligence or obstruction. I think obstruction is probably the better charge. I believe that Kim Foxx should ultimately, her office should be charged with obstruction, because I believe that she had knowledge of it. Again, we'll have to go and see. And the reason why I say that is because there's been several posts that have since surfaced that feature Kim Foxx, the state's attorney, Kamala Harris, who, by the way, is the attorney general. So there's a difference. There's a state's attorney, which is kind of like your
right. That's she's the chief.
So the point I'm trying to make is, Kamala Kamala Harris is the
Attorney General
for the state of California, which meant that she oversaw almost nearly every policy that was either instituted, changed, modified, or recused for the state of California within her tenure. So she's well versed in the law.
right. And here it is. And let me throw this out at you. And here it is, though, Georgia, is that we have Black people in positions of power who are in positions of power and authority and the law, and are not exercising it in the manner, the way it should.
Let's be clear. First of all, Kamala Harris is not Black.
Oh.
She's an imposter. She's half Jamaican and East Indian. Okay.
Oh, correct me.
So she's not Black. She is an imposter. She is just as Black as the lady who claims she should have been Black when she took over a chapter of the NAACP. Okay? That's how Black she is. We, unfortunately, have still not learned our lesson that complexion does not mean that we are in collusion. Or, different way, all skin folk ain't kin folk. Okay? Just because we look a certain way don't mean that we cool, that we gonna be down for each other. But we are so ignorant that we continue to make that mistake consistently. Kamala Harris also, and I just want to make sure that we're clear, this is the same woman that told us 3 weeks ago that she adamantly loved Tupac and Biggie and would fire up a joint to either one of them in her college days, even though she graduated from college approximately 6 years before either of those gentlemen broke into the record business.
Wow.
Additionally, Kamala Harris her office refused to have an independent DNA company test over 600 kits that were tainted by a worker who admitted under oath that they had compromised samples in various cases.
I did hear that.
Okay, so this speaks to the level of the character of this person, who has also been photographed in several Times Up and other rallies alongside with Jussie Smollett. Here's another interesting tidbit that, again, we have to pay attention to. Kamala Harris, along with Cory Booker and 3 other senators, there's one from South Carolina, they have and they were working on introducing a bill into the House called the Anti-Lynching Bill 2019. Now, why is that important? So you, Cory Booker, and another guy, forgot his name, it'll come back to me later, you guys are working in the background trying to get momentum into the 5th round of an introduction into a bill called the Anti-Lynching Bill. Okay? And one of your entertainment constituents is attacked and had a noose put around his neck. Just in the middle of all of this. For what? To possibly gain momentum into a bill that you were ultimately trying to introduce into Congress to help push it along. We got to understand the narratives and the agendas. This was an agenda and this was a narrative from the very beginning. This was, as Eddie Johnson said, this was a stunt.
He said, that's exactly right.
This was a stunt. And unfortunately, I will say fortunately for the Chicago police or their investigators, did a phenomenal job. Did a phenomenal job cutting through a lot of the rhetoric, being very objective to get to the bottom of it so that they could know and not being very premature or being very reckless in what they release to the public.
Right.
And a very good job, a very diligent job to make sure that this investigation was tied up with a bow a Christmas letter and card and present it to the state's attorney's office correctly without defamation.
Right, and which
did a phenomenal job.
And as soon as that, as soon as the indictment came down, because the two brothers went before the grand jury that Thursday.
Let's also remember now, before they went to the grand jury, the police department also had video footage and receipts.
Right. So they had
there is a significant. This isn't even circumstantial. So for all of the slow people on the bus, this isn't circumstantial.
No.
This is irrefutable, hardcore proof. They have receipts for a rope. They have video evidence that show these men going into a store, purchasing the said items,
and a cancel check, $3,500.
And now they have a cancel check, which they probably had anyway, because all they had to do was call the bank and tell the bank we need to look. See, and part of this is Jesse's own fault, because when he refused to give a complete phone record, that automatically was a red flag.
And when he did, it was highly redacted.
Yeah, same thing. You weren't cooperating. It's not clear. So on the flip side of that, we got Mr. R. Kelly in that situation. Now,
okay.
I think that there is a level of, as we say, accountability and so on and so forth. But really, again, this goes back to stewardship. How was he able to get this much access to underage girls unless someone is not having due diligence to know where your children are?
Right. And
it's now let's be very clear, and people are stepping on their own feet, because when they arrested him, if I'm not correct me if I'm wrong, R. Kelly was in his studio after 9 o'clock, correct?
Yes, he was.
When he surrendered.
He surrendered. He surrendered at 8.
Told people, and it has consistently been said, that this man is a night owl for the most part. He works during the night hours.
Correct.
Okay. So the question that is really simple here is, if this man is working in the night hours, at what point do you not know where your children are?
Where your 14 or 15-year-old daughter is, even, and not only that, and you raise a very, very good point. There's a part to where, as a state's attorney, where does the accountability come in? Where does the stewardship come in, to where who takes their 14 or 16-year-old girl to a location beyond normal business hours to work in a studio? And wait, not only that, but you drop them off, or you put them on a plane to go to said known locations. Now, let me ask you a question. Wait, when
you put a minor on a plane, someone has to have written consent.
Right.
At the point to where they are boarding the plane and to who they are going to meet on the other side. This is not rumor. This is actual fact. There is a chain of command, or a chain of custody, There is a clear chain of custody that must be maintained. If you do not believe me, there was a group of children, there was a 6-year-old and an 8-year-old who got lost in the airport by Spirit Airlines. Their parents sued because somehow or another the flight attendant was not diligent and the children slipped past her. And the Spirit Airlines had to pay them $4 million.
Yes, I do. Now that I remember, I definitely remember that.
These are not wives' tales and folklore, because that's what we deal with. Our mentality is not in reality. It's in folklore and superstition. This is an actual fact. When there are minors traveling, they have to be accompanied and or signed for. Somebody has to be a given guardianship so that we know who was the last person that had them. So the same thing applies for a 14-year-old. You're not hopping. You know why you know that that's not possible? Because in order for you to get through TSA, somebody has to ask, okay, you're 14. Who's with you?
Right. And even before TSA happened, there's still.
I'm saying TSA because remember now, TSA is not a new organization.
Well, remember now,
This has been happening since 2001, and September 11th.
Right. Now, here's the thing.
After that entire protocol, it was absolutely damn near impossible to sneak through security. Right.
And now some of the victims, this is information here. This is why I said even prior to that, there's alleging some of the victims incidents happened between 1996, 97. Now, that's why I said even before TSA before that was happening, there still was protocol on putting minors on a plane.
Here's the other problem. The other problem is where these people are not being truthful with themselves. By law, if your child is transported across state lines, whether it's a plane, whether it's a Greyhound, you can call because they're a minor and say this person has been abducted. We're not talking about an 18-year-old.
Right.
The moment you call, there is an obligation from local law enforcement to file a missing persons report because they are not adults.
That is true.
This is not this. So let's look at it. You didn't know where your child was. No. So did you file a missing police report?
Right. Very, very true.
File a missing persons report. Because remember now, this is your minor child who is somewhere other than where you have approved for them to be at in hours that you are not aware of.
Mm-hmm.
But nobody wants to talk about that because that points the finger at accountability or stewardship.
Stewardship goes right back. Hey, Georgia, do me a favor. Okay, if you want to hold on or call us back, I need to take a break here. I need to pay some bills and get these sponsors out here because this is how we're able to keep the lights on and keep the show going. So, all right, just hit us back in a few minutes. Hey, every time Georgia calls in, it is always informative. But we are going to take us a little break here on iHeart Intellectual Radio, the Chronicles of Rohn. To Nubian Beauty of Hair, check out their fabulous products at luxuryhairdirect.com/Nubian4 and put the dot on the end of that 4. If you are hungry, you got time, because hopefully when I leave here, I will be stopping by there. Captain Hooks, chicken and fish at 85th and Cottage Grove, 103rd and King Drive, and 15922 South Kedzie in Markham. Get your butt on down there and get you something good to eat. We'll be right back here on the Chronicles of Rohn.
I feel like a superhero up in here. When the spirit gotta hit him, gotta kill him like new shit. They call me Batman, cause the black mask is on my face. Gun up on my waist, booted and suited in them black case. I'm looking for some hood rats that I take to the back cave. Y'all lame like blank man, while I'm steady serving them like pistol on my utility belt. Like, yeah, I keep my identity to myself. Like, you don't want me to grab that thing from the shelf. Like, I call him Robin, cause that's my only help, right?
And Kim Fox refuses herself because he has a directive.
Y'all hit my back signal when they know that I'm coming. I say I ain't here for nothing, now give me that cat woman. That's when we started stomach pumping. Somebody had started dumping. She jumped up and caught her breath like, did you hear something? As soon as I get near the yard, you want me to get in the yard. I ain't trying to tease, I'm play with your mind like the Riddler. Girl, I'm really feeling ya, but you're acting two-faced. Her body smell fresh, but her breath needs some toothpaste. Nah, I ain't even gonna play with her, I'm giving to her all the way straight. Wait, she said quit playing. What you think, I'm a joker? About a money freaking, by the end of the night it's over. This girl with poison ivy, but I'ma have to give her a chance. Cause this a one night stand, but I'ma have bigger plans. Jump from top to roof like, do the window like Batman, you goof, right? Hit the floor, then I duck roll, shoot like a uppercut. That'll leave him staggered too, right? Look, this what I told her. Girl, I break backs, bang. She hit me on the dark night for a late stain. By the end of the night, I don't remember her name. My alias is Alias, not Bruce Wayne. She said she got a man and he'll be home soon for dinner. And by that time, I need to be like a ninja. She say his heart's cold like a Chicago winter. His friends call him Freeze, but I just call him Victor. And I'm like, shh. Then she say he must get home a little quicker. I'm like, damn, where's the window? And pass me all my B-loans. Do yourself a favor, chick. Lose all my info. Down the fire escape to the black. Feel my cologne in the air. So nasty knew that I was there. He screamed. Watch me get up out that jam like I make that thing go blam like all the women like damn that's cause they know that's who I am. Okay.
Hey, and welcome back to iHeart Intellectual Radio, the Chronicles of Ron. I am your host, Alan G. The Dark Knight, here at the bottom of the hour. Yes, we all know that bats are nocturnal. I am a nocturnal creature. Anyway, back to what we were discussing during the break, and I want to kind of elaborate on what we were on the Kamala Harris, Kim Foxx, and Jussie Smollett connection. I want to elaborate on that. What we have here is that you have three individuals who are connected by a piece of legislation. Kamala Harris and a few other congressional members are trying to put together what they call an anti-lynching bill number 2019. Now, here's the thing. Kamala Harris is the Attorney General for the state of California, also a Democrat. Okay. Now, Jussie Smollett and Kim Foxx were all at a rally called Time's Up. Okay, Time's Up. See, this is a campaign against Donald Trump. Okay, not to get too far into that, but all of them are connected. So which means that Jussie Smollett created a violent act, created this to help push this legislation that Kamala Harris, who he's attached to, through Congress, along with and they're all together. He created this to create the so to speak, give it some traction. This is what he's done. Kim Foxx had to remove herself from the Smollett investigation because she's connected to both Smollett and Kamala Harris through social media posts and conversation. Not to say that she's complicit in his act, but realizing that, hey, you are a friend of mine, I can't actively be involved. I can't do it. It's considered a conflict of interest. So she recused herself. Now, that's that ball of wax right there. And see this, and a lot of this stuff, people, all you have to do is look these people up and find, because a lot of them have all of them have some form of social networking, whether it's through Facebook, Twitter, Instagram. They're all posting different things. And a lot of this, and just another piece of information that came across my desk. There's a woman right now. I kid you not. I can't make this up. This is how we know this is a lot of this. This is definitely a lot of bullshit that is really going on. There's a woman that has come out right now that is about to accuse Donald Trump of sexual harassment. Oh, wait a minute. And the woman is black. Okay, stop. Let's see. This is the thing. Her boo-hooing and crying and saying, I didn't do anything wrong, but just get up and go to work. Donald Trump has always tried to grab on black women and kiss black women and make the black women feel uncomfortable. Let's see. Let's see. Here we go. Let's stop. Because here's the thing. And if you saw this woman, you would ask yourself, you would doubt yourself. It's like, this woman looked like somebody backed into her with a dump truck. Donald Trump he's made it clear. He said this from the very beginning. My lifestyle requires that I have a beautiful woman at my side. Hey, welcome to iHeart Intellectual Radio, the Chronicles of Ron. Who do I have on the phone and where are you calling from?
All right, this is Jay from Georgia calling.
Thank you.
So I'm gonna make this quick. As it relates to the R. Kelly situation, now let me be very clear once again for the slow people with the halo dome around the head. I am not condoning R. Kelly's alleged pedophilia or any illegal activity that he may be engaged in. Let's be very clear. I am not condoning that, nor am I advocating for that. But I think we need to be very clear, very careful in understanding that in every level of entertainment, when it comes to our Black folks, please understand that we have to have an asterisk next to our name. We cannot be great and never leave the industry without an asterisk. Period. Michael Jordan, great ball player, great mentor, had a gambling problem. Dick Gregory, anyone, you don't leave this industry clean. So we need to be very clear in understanding that whatever that price is, you're going to pay it. Now, with that being said, let's also pay attention to the fact that these people, at least 80% of them, I can't give you guys any credit for. I can't take you seriously. And the reason being is because at the top of each and every one of your story is, I wanted to be a star. That's the narrative that I hear in almost every one of those stories. He promised me and I wanted to be a star. First of all, baby, if your parents didn't tell you that that's the game, then shame on you, because that is the game. It's the game. In addition to that, R. Kelly's not the first, nor will he be the last.
That is true.
Presley was in his 20s, and he married, and I don't want to say kidnapped, but he accosted his 14-year-old lover, moved her into a house with him at 14.
Jerry Lee Lewis.
Jerry Lee Lewis, she was 13, and that was his second cousin.
Go further back. Right, go further back to Fatty Arbuckle.
Well, you know what? Let's not even go. Let me help again some of you slow people out. What about The Color Purple?
Yeah, okay, let's stick within the realm. Exactly. That is that. No, that's.
I'm just trying to show a pattern.
Well, no, not only that, but we have to dummy. But like you say, sometimes we have to lower our expectations and dummy things down so people can get the full understanding. The Color Purple is a prime example.
It is an absolute prime example. And what I'm saying is that we pick and choose when we want to be righteous. Righteousness is not a choice. It is not a choice.
Right. That goes to.
What I mean by that is, it's not a matter of, well, it applies here, but it doesn't apply there. It's all or nothing.
That's like that's like.
The problem is, we do not want to really be the price or pay the price for righteousness, because righteousness has an all or nothing clause that we don't want to ascribe to.
Very, very true. That's pervert. Let
me just say this one last thing, and this is me personally. If R. Kelly is guilty, then at least 25% of your pastors and elders and deacons need to be right in the cell with him.
Wow.
Including folks at the Vatican who are there right now. There is a summit going on at the Vatican right now where the Pope called all of his top folks home because they like to play with little boys' booty holes.
Wow.
While y'all sending them there for choir practice. And you coming home trying to figure out why he always got the high parts and the solos.
You know what? You are right. You are exactly right.
What I'm saying is, but you know what? Y'all haven't stopped giving not one dime.
You are absolutely right.
I'm just saying we again, and I've said this several different times, several different ways. The African American suffers from a very, very critical mental condition. I call it Stockholm syndrome.
And if you don't, and if people, let me say this to them. And if you're not familiar with the term, with what that means, Stockholm, that's a term used when a victim is kidnapped or taken or abducted, and they begin to develop empathy for their captor, to where they can see no wrong in their captor, even though this captor could be the worst person to ever walk God's green earth. They can see no wrong in them because they have conditioned them to accept the brutality, which is why he said some of us suffer from Stockholm syndrome, because we continue to accept the brutality, whether it be physical or mental or metaphoric. We continue to accept this as being normal, even in our own homes, even in our own relationships, whether it's a relationship or marriage. Some things we begin to accept, and because we're not understanding the difference between a nurturing type of love and a violent type of love. So you are conditioned. And when he said that we are meant, some of us are mentally conditioned to believe certain things, and we believe them without refuting it. If I walk up and punch you in the face and then I tell you, I love you. If I walk up and spit on you and I say, you know what, it won't happen again, but I turn right around and do it again, but I'm coaxing you into believing this. At some point, go ahead.
Some of us are actually accustomed to that type of love, and they're liars. They say that they're not, because I have heard and experienced female counterparts tell me, well, if he doesn't do that, I don't think he loves me.
Yeah.
Let me just throw this last thing in there. See, and since we have such a short memory, I can remember going to a particular high school in the city of Chicago when I was 14 to 18, and it was not uncommon for dudes in a Mercedes or an IROC or anything else who you knew didn't go to the high school to swing around to the school to pick up your classmates, because they wasn't dating you because you wasn't old enough. But they was dating those dudes because they were older and had the car and had the cash. But this is just the R. Kelly situation that just pops up.
Right. See, and this goes back to, once again,
the problem is, if you condone that, then you need to condone some of your own behavior. Oops, you saved now. That didn't happen to you. That's my minute. I'll talk to you guys later.
All right. Thank you very much, Georgia. Thank you very much. Once again, and it still goes back to what we said at the top of the show. It goes back to ownership, people. Ownership. Once we have a full understanding of what that means, then our perception, our minds and ideas and our perceptions change. We take ownership for what we say and what we do. We man up to that. And at the same time, we have to understand, when you're not taught these particular, given these particular attributes, you have to learn what accountability is. You have to learn what ownership is. You have to learn these things. And these things fall upon us because we continue to rotate and operate in an environment of what I call dysfunction. Dysfunction. And as I said before, I've said this once before, and I'm in different parts of the show this year. I will be saying it again. It's often said, or I often say this, and I pass this on. If you ever want to know about a person, All you need to do is look in their closet or around their bedroom. If you ever want to know how a person functions or operates, look in their closet, look around their bedroom. If you see everything in disarray or a hot mess or no levels of organization, that's the part where you're sitting on the side of the road, scratching your head and saying, I need to do something different. Because see, at that point now you're taking ownership on saying this is not conducive for me. And when you try to pass this information along to that person and they refuse to take ownership or make the change or just purposely refuse to see it, then you start doing some evaluation. You have to do that. You have to do that with your children. You have to do that with your mate, your significant other, spouse, whatever the office is, and at the same and whatever that is, and and not to go too much in that, but we're gonna get into that one day about the levels of office involving a household. But whether we're doing this at our job, there's levels of ownership, there's levels of organization. Jesse Smollett sat down and he organized this thing. R. Kelly, if he did this, and we have to say the alleged thing, we have to say alleged because none of us were in the room, none of us know. And then there are people who are hateful, who are trying to really destroy this man. And this is the deconstruction of the black man, a successful black man. But not to mention, and as I say, myself, the station, we make it clear we do not condone these alleged acts. If they are happening, we don't condone that. But we will give him the presumption of innocence until we hear or see otherwise. The same thing with Jesse. It's a little harder, but we still have to give him that because everyone is entitled to what they call due process. Everyone is entitled to it. So I'm getting the helicopters in the background. That means it's my time here on iHeart Intellectual Radio, the Chronicles of Rohn. I hope you all really enjoyed the show and able to take something from the show and apply it to your everyday life. And I can't stress this enough. Oh, by the way, along with ownership, today is the 54th anniversary. Seeing that we're still in Black History Month, which is the coldest month of the year and the shortest month of the year. Who thought that up? This is the 54th anniversary of the assassination of Malcolm X in the Audubon Ballroom in New York, 1965. This is the 54th anniversary. Brilliant man. But anyway, to my sponsors, Nubian Beauty of Hair, check out their website. At luxuryhairdirect.com/Nubian4. Remember, put the dot on the end of that 4. And I'm finna make a beeline to Captain Hooks on 85th and Cottage Grove, 103rd and King Drive, and 159th and Kedzie to get me some of that fabulous chicken, fish, and shrimp. So I'm gonna make my way to the Batmobile. Good night, y'all. See y'all next week here on iHeart Intellectual Radio, the Chronicles of Rohn.
Roger, ready to move out.